순진해, 착하고. 부자인데 착하다니까.
부자인데 착해가 아니라 부자니까 착한 거지. 뭔 소린지 알아?
The Kim family lives in a semi-basement in Seoul. Not quite underground, not quite street level, a space with windows that sit at pavement height. So the view from inside is ankles and drain covers. When it rains hard enough, the sewage comes up through the toilet. Hee-tak, the father, is between jobs in the way that starts to feel permanent. The family folds pizza boxes for a delivery app to make ends meet. They share one phone, hunting for a Wi-Fi signal that bleeds through from the coffee shop upstairs. Then Ki-woo, the son, gets handed two things by a friend: a scholar's rock, a susak, a traditional gift meant to bring material wealth, and a tutoring job with the Park family, who live at the top of a hill in a house designed by a famous architect. The Kims are smart, resourceful, and completely without options. So, they do what they have to do.
One by one, each Kim infiltrates the Park household. Ki-woo as English tutor, Ki-jung, the daughter, as an art therapist she invents on the spot, Ki-taek as the Park's new driver after Ki-jung engineers the dismissal of the old one, Chung-suk, the mother, as housekeeper after a similar maneuver with the woman who'd held the job for years. The cons are elegant. The Parks are wealthy enough to be incurious. Mr. Park runs a tech company and has the particular quality of a man who prides himself on being fair, which mostly means not thinking too hard about the people below him. His wife Yen Kyo is trusting in the specific way that comes from never having needed not to be. Parasite is a film that tells you everything through space: where you live, what you can see from your window, how many stairs you have to climb. None of it is incidental.
곱등이도 없애고.
그래. 요새 곱등이 너무 많아.
The Park house sits at the top of a hill, in a home full of glass and light. The Kim semi-basement sits below street level with a view of the pavement. Bong Joon-ho never explains what this means. He just shows it to you and trusts that you feel it. Because every decision these families make, every risk the Kims take, every obliviousness the Parks display, flows directly from the distance between those two addresses.
That look on Oliver's face as the car comes through the gates, that's what Saltburn is about. The whole film is in that look. Saltburn Hall is an English country estate owned by the Catton family. Oliver Quick, a scholarship student at Oxford, gets invited to spend the summer there by Felix Catton, a classmate whose ease and wealth Oliver has been quietly studying all term. What Emerald Fennell is doing with that house is almost exactly what Bong does with the Park house in Parasite. The space isn't background, it's the mechanism. In Parasite, the contrast between the Kim semi-basement and the Park hilltop home makes the whole class dynamic visible without anyone having to name it. Every time someone goes up or down a staircase in that film, you feel what it means. Hee-tak, by the end, is living in a literal underground chamber beneath the Park house, the spatial logic of the film taken to its furthest point.
Saltburn works the same way. Oliver learns the estate's rhythms, its rituals, which fork goes where, which rooms you don't enter uninvited. He's performing belonging, the same way the Kims perform their various roles for the Parks. And Fennell, like Bong, is interested in what that performance requires, and what happens when the house finally decides whether you get to stay. The bathtub scene, if you've seen it, hits as hard as it does because you've spent the whole film understanding exactly what Oliver wants from that place. You don't need the film to tell you. You've been in every room with him.
The thing about Parasite's first half is how comfortable it lets you get. The Kims are funny and competent and you're rooting for them. The Parks are oblivious enough to be comic. And then the Parks leave for a camping trip. And while the Kims are sprawled across the house, eating their food and drinking their whiskey, someone rings the doorbell. And the film you thought you were watching is gone.
corridor, one take, no cuts, every person in it exhausted by the end, is one of the most imitated sequences in action cinema. But it's worth paying attention to why it works beyond the choreography. Odesu isn't fighting to win. He's fighting because stopping means confronting something he's not ready to face yet. Oldboy is a Korean noir from 2003, directed by Park Chan-wook. Odesu is locked in a private cell for 15 years with no explanation, then released just as suddenly. He spends the rest of the film trying to find out who imprisoned him and why. The surface connection to Parasite is obvious. Both films hinge on something hidden beneath the main story that, once revealed, changes the meaning of everything before it. But what makes Oldboy worth putting next to Parasite specifically is how both films handle the moment of revelation. Neither one treats it as a gotcha. In both cases, the twist is the film's real argument arriving, the thing the whole story was about, finally named.
Park Chan-wook structured the screenplay so that every major plot point in the first half has a direct mirror in the second. The film is literally symmetrical in its construction, which is only visible on a rewatch once you know the ending. Parasite does something similar. The Scholar's Rock that Ki-woo carries into the park house as a symbol of aspiration is the same rock that ends the film. Bong laid that out from the first scene. Both films understand that a great twist isn't about surprising you. It's about making you realize the story was always going somewhere you couldn't quite see. Bong Joon-ho made Parasite in 2019, but he'd been building toward it for a long time. If you want to understand where the film came from, the moral seriousness, the tonal range, the refusal to give you a clean ending, you have to go back to 2003. Memories of Murder is based on a real case. South Korea's first known serial murders committed in Hwasong between 1986 and 1991 and unsolved for over 30 years. Bong Joon-ho made the film in 2003, before the killer was ever identified. The real killer, Lee Chun-jae, was identified via DNA evidence in 2019, 16 years after the film was released. Bong has said that the final shot was always intended as a question directed at the killer himself, wherever he was watching. The film follows two detectives, one local, one from Seoul, who approach the case in completely different ways and are both wrong. Detective Park is brutal and impulsive, extracting confessions through violence. Detective So arrives with evidence-based methods and metropolitan confidence. The film takes a kind of grim pleasure in dismantling both of them. What makes it the right companion to Parasite is that both films are less interested in what happened than in what the situation reveals about the people trying to deal with it. The tonal whiplash, slapstick one moment, genuinely disturbing the next, is identical to Parasite's. Bong was already doing this in 2003. It was only his second feature film. He was 33 years old. One of the things Parasite is most precise about is the mechanics of a plan. The Kim's con is genuinely elegant. Each step follows from the last, each family member slots in, and the film is almost generous about letting you enjoy it before it shows you exactly what plans cost when they stop working. There's a show that understands that dynamic as well as anything.
Heck, you're so sure about it, maybe you should just kill him for me.
That's Fargo, the TV series, not the Coen brothers film, though that's exactly where it comes from. Noah Hawley's show is an anthology. Each season is a self-contained story set in a different decade, different characters, different crimes, same frozen landscape. Season 1, which is the place to start, follows a meek insurance salesman named Lester Nygaard, who makes one bad decision after a chance encounter with a drifting hitman named Lorne Malvo. Everything after that is the shape of what one bad decision actually costs. The reason it belongs next to Parasite is the machinery. Both stories are about ordinary people who convince themselves that one small transgression is manageable, that they can control the consequences, that the plan is still intact. Bong is meticulous about showing you exactly where each Kim's con starts to exceed what they can contain. Fargo does the same thing, and with the same tonal range. It can be very funny and genuinely horrifying within the same scene, sometimes the same line. The Coen brothers' fingerprints are all over both works. That particular mode of storytelling, where the violence is sudden and unglamorous, where the people doing terrible things are recognizable and even sympathetic, where the moral weight accumulates slowly and then arrives all at once. You can feel it in Parasite's third act just as clearly as you can in any Fargo season finale. The Coen brothers served as executive producers on the show and had full script approval. They described Hawley's work as better than a lot of their own stuff, a comment they have neither fully retracted nor elaborated on. Season 1 is the entry point, but all of them are worth your time.
By the end of Parasite, Ki-taek is living in the hidden basement under the park house. His son knows he's down there and sends Morse code through the garden lights to communicate. Ki-taek writes back. It's the closest thing the film has to a resolution. A man who performed respectability for 2 hours reduced to a signal in the dark. The last category is about the system that put him there.
Sorry to Bother You is set in a near-future Oakland, where a telemarketing company called Regalview has become enormously profitable. Cash Green gets a job there, discovers that using what the film calls his white voice, a specific register of ease he doesn't normally use, lets him sell anything to anyone, and rises fast. Boots Riley is doing something similar to what Bong does with the Kim family, tracing the cost of performing acceptability for an institution that only wants you on its terms. Cash discovers what those terms actually are in the film's third act, and the revelation involving the CEO Steve Lift and what he's really doing with his workforce is the kind of specific, surreal horror that makes you realize Riley wasn't exaggerating anything. He was just making the logic visible. There's a conversation in Parasite between Ki-taek and his son toward the end of the film. Ki-woo asks his father what the plan is. Ki-taek says, "No plan." He says that if you make a plan, life never works out that way. It sounds like resignation. It's what's left after every plan a person had has been taken from them. Sorry to Bother You starts where that feeling ends. Cash had a plan. He got access to rooms he was never supposed to see. Now, he knows what those rooms contain. And like Ki-taek, he has to decide what to do with that knowledge.
Parasite came out in 2019 and people are still arguing about it, which usually means it's doing something right. 5 angles, 5 places to go next if any of them landed. If there's a rec you think should have been on this list, write it in the comments. Someone scrolling through is going to find their next favorite thing because of what you put there. Like the video, subscribe if you want more.